Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Kieft in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, where you can also find us in the Birmingham-Bloomfield area on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and on City Cable 15 of Southfield. Join us live on Channel 10 every day in Waterford on the media network of Waterford, and live to tape on Channel 10 in Orion Township and Lake Orion on Orion Neighborhood Television, or ONTV. You can also find us on the radio in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on 88.1 The Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. Find us online on our Facebook pages at Civic Center TV 15 and at Lakes FM, on our website at civiccentertv.com, and on My Michigan TV, or MyMy, at mymytv.com. That's MYMITV.com, where you can also learn more about downloading their free MyMyTV apps for your smartphones and smart TVs. All that information is on our website at civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link or typing in civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you can find all the information you need to know on each and every one of our partnering stations, find all of our full programs, and each individual interview on demand as well. Then let's head over to our news page at civiccentertv.com/local-news, where we have links to the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 from reliable expert resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division, to help keep you up to date on everything you need to know about the spread of COVID-19 and precautionary tactics you may or may not need to employ in your daily life at any given time, as well as more information on vaccinations and booster shots should you be in need of either. Also on our news page at civiccentertv.com/local-news, we feature articles from many journalistic outlets throughout the state of Michigan to keep you up to date on COVID-19 and other stories making headlines across the Great Lakes state. Our top story today from the Detroit Free Press's Frank Witzel: Michigan gas prices have hit a new high of $4.32 a gallon and are expected to continue climbing. Michigan gas prices edged up even higher on Monday to $4.32 a gallon, setting a new record high for the state. But that's not the worst of it. Prices are expected to go even higher. Typically, refineries switch to what the petroleum industry calls a summer blend of gasoline. As outside temperatures rise, summer gas is blended to evaporate at higher temperatures than winter gas. It also tends to cost more money. Quote, while motorists filling with gasoline have seen a slight rise in prices, in close quote from Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy, which also tracks gasoline prices. He continued on by saying, quote, diesel surge will be a double whammy as diesel prices will soon be passed along to retail channels, further pushing up the cost of goods, and closed quote. The average price of unleaded gasoline is now up 35 cents from this time a month ago, and $1.24 a gallon more than this time last year, according to AAA's Auto Club, which tracks prices at stations nationwide. For 15-gallon tanks, that's an average of $64 or $13 more than what it costs when prices were at their highest in November of 2021. The pain at the pump is even more acute for some motorists as workplaces require employees to return to the office and inflation and rising interest rates take effect, cutting into their wages. The state's record high is a penny below the national average high of $4.33 back in March. Compared to last week, Metro Detroit's average daily gas price increased, setting a new record high. Metro Detroit's current average is $4.30 per gallon, 24 cents more than last week's average. The most expensive gas prices in the state, according to AAA, are in Marquette at $4.39 and both Lansing and Saginaw at $4.35 a gallon. The least expensive in the state are in three separate areas: in Traverse City, where gas prices are averaging out at about $4.26 a gallon, and in the Ann Arbor and Metro Detroit areas at $4.30 per gallon. Also making headlines on civiccentertv.com/local-news from our friends over at the Detroit News. Oxford School District is planning memorials to its shooting victims from back in November, that tragedy at Oxford High School. The Oxford School District is moving forward with plans to remember 4 high school students who died in the mass shooting on November 30th and, quote, help with the grieving process, and closed quote, of students and staff. In a message Friday on the district's website, Oxford Community Schools Superintendent Ken Weaver said a banner in the gym and a sign in the senior courtyard will serve as remembrances of Hannah St. Juliana Brianna, 14 years old, Madison Baldwin, 17, Tate Meir of 16 years old, and Justin Schilling, 17. Quote, all of us should honor the lives of these 4 students through our actions to serve our community going forward, end closed quote, Weaver said. Continuing on, Superintendent Weaver said, quote, this way the impact these children had on our school community will carry on for others to follow, end closed quote. The sign in the senior courtyard will contain a short remembrance from each of the students' families. A quote, simple but striking banner in the gym donated by Jostens will contain hearts and the students' names. Weaver said the plans were made based on information from other schools that have faced a similar tragedy and mental health experts who specialize in trauma recovery. The school board is also forming a committee to plan a permanent memorial to the students as well. Quote, this committee will decide the process for gathering students, staff, and community input on design, layout, and location of the memorials or the memorial. It will also begin fundraising efforts to support the construction of these memorials, end closed quote, said Superintendent Weaver. Other efforts to remember the students include designating November 30th as Wildcat Remembrance Day. School will be closed for a district-wide day of service to honor the students. Planting 4 cherry blossom trees at the high school with plaques dedicating a tree to each of the students who perished in the massacre on November 30th. Continuing to conduct spirit days to honor the students. And wearing memorial patches donated by Jostens with the letter O and 4 hearts around them. An Oxford High School sophomore is charged with killing 4 students and wounding 6 others and a teacher. His attorneys have indicated that they plan an insanity defense on his behalf. His parents, James and Jennifer Crumbly, are also charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. They are accused of buying a handgun for their 15-year-old son as a Christmas gift and failing to properly store the weapon or advise school officials that their son may have had access to it. Lastly, making headlines on civiccentertv.com/local-news from Tracy Mariello of Bridge, Michigan. Michigan lawmakers have passed a K-12 budget plan that boosts spending and pays down some of the state's debt. The House and Senate approved separate school spending plans this week, setting in motion negotiations over whether to follow Republican efforts to reduce debt or invest in new teacher recruitments and mental health efforts. House lawmakers on Thursday passed a $19.9 billion school and budget plan that increases spending by 15%, pays down pension debt, and prohibits transgender girls from playing on girls' scholastic sports teams. The vote was a 65-38 majority with mostly Republicans in favor and most Democrats opposed. The Senate passed its own $17.9 billion school aid budget on Wednesday on a 20-15 vote without any support from Democrats on the other side of the aisle. Governor Whitmer had proposed an $18.4 billion education budget that invests heavily in teacher recruitment and retention, a lesser priority for both the House and the Senate. Now it's up to a bipartisan conference committee to reconcile the disparate plans. What is clear is that any deal will boost education spending above the current $17 billion budget. With a recovering economy, a revenue surplus, and billions of dollars in federal COVID relief, lawmakers see opportunities to cut taxes and pay down debt while still having enough to invest in new programs for schools. Senator Dale Zorn, a Republican from Olmsted, said in a written statement that it's important to provide tax relief for families dealing with inflation. Democratic Senator Rosemary Bayer from Kegel Harbor wants the state to make up for what she says is years of insufficient investment in schools. Quote, there are real uses for this money, but there is a group of Republicans who don't want to spend it, in closed quote, said Senator Bayer. Democrats have sought to decrease funding for online charter school students, increase funding for traditional public school students, and provide $1.5 billion for teacher retention bonuses in a program proposed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Republicans voted down these efforts but allowed one amendment that would provide $6 million for mental health support, security, and structural repairs to Oxford High School, where a student with a gun killed 4 and injured 7 others in November of 2021. The House budget would increase per pupil base funding by $300, bringing it to $9,000 per pupil. The Senate version calls for $9,150 per student. The governor's proposal falls in between at $9,135 per pupil, but exempts online schools from such an increase. The House bill also adds $1.7 billion in payments to reduce the state's $33.7 billion unfunded pension liability in the Michigan Public Schools employees' retirement system. Democrats prefer to direct that money toward investments in special education, teacher recruitment, and funding for at-risk students such as English language learners and economically disadvantaged children. House Republicans rebuffed Democrats' attempt to remove language requiring public schools to prohibit transgender girls from playing on other sports teams as well. State Republican Brad Paquette, a Republican from Niles who sponsored the school budget bill, unquote, an individual that God made as a boy, and said, quote, an individual that God made as a boy has distinct physical advantages over an individual that God made as a girl, and closed quote. Paquette is the vice chairperson of the House Education Committee and chair of the School Aid and Michigan Department of Education Budget Subcommittee. The school aid budget is part of a larger spending package the House and the Senate passed this week to fund state agencies over the state's next fiscal year, which begins on October 1st, 2022. Administrators hope for an agreement on school aid budgeting much sooner than that, so they have certainty before July 1st, the start of the fiscal year for school districts. Many changes are expected before the final version hits the governor's desk. Quote, a budget is a statement of priorities, and this budget plan prioritizes educating children, improving our economy, and supporting families struggling with increasing costs, said Senate Appropriations Chairperson Jim Thomas, a Republican from Midland. At a news conference in Grand Rapids on Thursday, State Superintendent Michael Rice told reporters he hopes the compromise will increase funding for English language learners and economically disadvantaged students whose education needs are greater than other students. He also wants the legislature to fund the governor's proposals for retention bonuses for infrastructure improvements as well. All those headlines are on our website at civiccentertv.com/local-news, as well as those ever helpful links to accurate and up-to-date information on the COVID-19 pandemic from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great program ahead on this Monday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll speak with Wendy Bice from SOAR, the Society of Active Retirees. And then at the bottom of the hour, Wayne Thibodeau will join us from the Career Services Office at Oakland University. That's all up next. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Joining us now is the Interim Executive Director of SOAR, Wendy Bice. SOAR stands for the Society of Active Retirees. Wendy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, can you tell us about the Society of Active Retirees? What does your organization do? Who does it serve in our communities?
SOAR is recently went through a name change. We are now called SOAR Lifelong Learning. We are a institute for older adults of any age, 50 and better, we say, who want to continue to explore and discover and keep their minds active. So we offer 3 semesters a year of classes. In total, we offer somewhere around 125 classes a year. Each class is a one-off, so it's an hour to an hour and a half. It's a lecture-style class, and about half of our classes are on Zoom right now, and half are in person in Farmington Hills at the Hawk Community Center.
And so, Wendy, can you talk about the importance of maintaining activity, particularly mental activity and social activity for retirees who are often seniors who are later on in their life, and so the aging process has taken a toll on their brains, on their memories, and when they're not necessarily activated on a daily basis or so consistently with work or with other necessary activities that are are more of a practice in your working career life, that can take a toll. So talk about the importance of maintaining that activity and how your organization helps these retirees maintain their mental and physiological health through that activity.
So when SOAR was founded, and actually it dates to the 1990s, older adults were retiring and looking for activity. And SOAR was founded on the principle that just because you're retired, you're not, you're no longer, you're still viable. You still have a chance to grow and learn and discover. But now, people are not retiring at 65 necessarily. And even when they're retired, they're not, you're not sitting in a chair immobile. You're still viable, we hope, mentally and maybe physically, maybe not moving as fast. Maybe your days are shorter, but you're still a person who has a lot to offer and can still take that time to grow and to learn and to discover and to meet new people. As empty nesters, our kids probably some are local, some are moved away. Some of us don't have grandkids yet. We're looking for social connections. So not only do these classes help stimulate thought and encourage discussion, but they're also really important for social connections, even over Zoom. We always have a question and answer period. We are back to a modified in-person schedule. We have small group activities. We'll start again up with field trips soon. But I think, as a person who is over age 60, or we say 55 or better, there's no way I'm done. I'm learning, I'm growing, and as are my friends and family members. So just because you hit a certain age doesn't mean you are no longer viable and no longer have a lot to contribute.
Has the COVID-19 pandemic played a factor in pushing that message and pushing that goal of your organization to maintain that activity for these seniors? Because I would imagine it even has a greater impact on those that are retired and maybe aren't working during the week or are consistently socializing during the week in person because they have to be in their homes to protect themselves from this virus over that 2-year period. How did the COVID-19 pandemic play into your organization's work to support these seniors, not only in their social life and keeping them active, but to maintain that goal of providing these activities and providing these outlets, albeit in a safe environment given the circumstances of the world?
I think COVID-19 shocked all of us into realizing how devastating isolation can be, and especially for older adults. So in our case, we were able to transition rather quickly. We did miss one of our semesters, but we transitioned quickly to Zoom, and we were able to get all of our members who wished back online and engaging with us through Zoom. So perhaps it was a husband and wife or 2 roommates who were isolated at home. Now they had kind of another outlet to feel a little bit more connected to the community. And so in SOAR's case, it really accelerated one of our goals, which was to use technology to reach older adults who are not necessarily physically or geographically able to attend our classes in person. So now with this modified model we have of half of our classes on Zoom and the other half in person, and we're trying to record most of our classes and bring those to our members through YouTube, we really can offer anybody anywhere access to our content and our programs.
So as you mentioned, we're joined by Wendy Bice, the Interim Executive Director of the Society of Active Retirees Lifelong Learning Institute, joining us on the Megacast. More information can be found on their website, which is soarexplore.com. That is soarexplore.com for more information.
SOAR.
Yes, SOAR explore.com for more information and to get in contact with the organization. And so you mentioned the classes. You have a variety of different classes for people of all different interest levels or just for some continued development of life skills in retirement. Can you talk to us a little bit about what those classes are and then go through the process of determining what those classes are going to be and how your organization develops them?
We have classes, we offer 3 semesters a year. Right now we are in the middle of our spring semester, and plans are, we almost have our fall semester set. So we would have classes ranging from art and culture, what is glass blowing, who's doing interesting work in glass or sculpture, to understanding the music of the 1950s, for example, all the way to history, to government, to current events. History is a big subject. We always have pretty good depth of options for those who love history, as well as a lot of local content. Our speakers are either active or retired professors from area universities, or active or retired professionals in their fields, or significant contributors to a certain genre. So, for example, some local historians who weren't historians in business, but have become so after their retirement, are often some of our best speakers. We, I can't remember the rest of your question. Do you want to know how someone can register?
Yeah, sure. Tell us how someone can register. Yeah.
So our website has a registration portal. We open registration usually leading into a new semester, and someone would register for a semester, and that person then becomes a member, we call them. We don't call our members students. And we are rolling out this fall a whole new registration model, so someone can become a member of SOAR and participate in some of our special events and our shared interest groups, which are very, very popular. And then they can also register for classes. So in the fall, we'll have a whole new kind of approach toward engaging with our members.
Are there any costs associated with taking these classes?
Yes, a semester is $100, and that entitles an individual to as many classes as they want. We average about 50 classes a semester. Our winter program, we call it, is actually a condensed model where we focus on one theme. So this past winter, we did 6 weeks just on the Industrial Revolution, but our spring and fall are more diverse with a whole variety of classes, and we average about 50 classes a term. We do have occasional special events through the year, and we have one coming up next week on May 6th, which is the SOAR mock trial. And that event is free and open to the public. We also have another event coming up with Jocelyn Benson that is free and open to the public as well.
We're joined by Wendy Bice, the Interim Executive Director of SOAR, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. SOAR can be found at SOARexplore.com. That's SOARexplore.com for more information. They are the Society of Active Retirees Lifelong Learning Institute, joining us on the Megacast today. So you mentioned earlier, among some of the classes are music of the 1950s, maybe one of them. You also have a book club and a film club as well. Can you tell us about those and how people can participate in those clubs?
Yeah, those are 2 of our shared interest groups. Shared interest groups are small group gatherings, currently all on Zoom, where the group members would read a book or watch a film or have a topic of discussion. And then they meet, the groups are usually between 15 and 20 people, and they meet with a moderator and discuss the book or the film or the topic of discussion. We have a women's issues group. We have a new group that's launching this summer called the Detective Novel. And obviously that will be all about active novels. We have a new group that launched earlier this year called Great Decisions, where the group takes a look at some monumental decision and how it impacted our life. And they're getting ready for their second meeting this June.
We're joined by Wendy Bice, the Interim Executive Director of the Society of Active Retirees Lifelong Learning Institute, joining us on the Megacast. You mentioned also you have a mock trial coming up. That's going to be happening on Friday, May 6th at 1 p.m. It'll happen at the Hawk Community Center Auditorium located on 12 Mile Road in Farmington Hills. And it is a free event. Can you tell us about the mock trial and what people may be expecting when they see this free event on Friday, May 6th?
This is a semi-annual event. Obviously, we took a couple of years off, and we host, it's on a stage with a cast. The cast are all attorneys or judges. This year, we're exploring the question of, was Gerald Ford justified in pardoning Richard Nixon? We will have attorneys for the defense and a prosecuting attorney arguing whether Gerald Ford did the right thing in the name of peace and civility moving on, or should he have prosecuted Richard Nixon? The audience is the jury. And so after the case is presented, the audience will have a paper ballot and no chits, no electronic mishaps, but you'll fill out your paper ballot, vote guilty or not, and we will have a verdict at the end of the hour-and-a-half program. It's very popular. We have a very esteemed group of attorneys who are playing the parts. Jack Lessenberry is going to be Gerald Ford. So we're very excited. We think it is a good way to bring new friends into SOAR to participate again in a really interactive, social, but academic, thought-provoking event. And it's free.
Again, that free event, Friday, May 6th, 2022 at 1 p.m. That'll be at the Hawk Community Center Auditorium. That is located on 12 Mile Road in Farmington Hills. More information on soarexplore.com, SOAR Explore.com. We're joined by Wendy Bice, the Interim Executive Director of the Society of Active Retirees Lifelong Learning Institute, with us on the Megacast. Wendy, before we let you go, any other SOAR events coming up, or where can people get more information, or even sign up if they'd like to become a member for a semester or multiple semesters?
So as you've been graciously saying, soarexplore.com. Our phone number is 248-626-0296. We're on Facebook and we're on LinkedIn. So join us, learn, grow, meet new people, and don't be afraid to raise your hand and ask a question. That's what we're all about.
Wendy, thank you very much for joining us.
Tyler, thank you.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood,
physical appearance. They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Whether you're the city,
The county.
Or the Huron River Watershed Council.
We work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
a rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, is being kind and reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is a source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. Learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com, where you'll also find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. After you or your children walk across the stage and turn your tassel, life immediately changes and your career becomes front and center. Joining us now to help navigate today's job market for recent graduates is Wayne Thibodeau, the Senior Director of Career Services at Oakland University. Wayne, thank you for being with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first, tell us about some of the services that are provided through the Career Services Department at Oakland University, and that includes not only students that are currently enrolled at the university, but graduates and recent graduates as well.
Absolutely. So we are here to help our students be successful in their future careers or at the professional school level beyond their undergraduate level. And so whether it's career readiness or preparing students for the job market, Career Services is really here to help students be successful. So whether that's preparing students for on-campus jobs or off-campus jobs, internships, co-ops, and really getting students prepared to compete in the workforce today.
And so one of the opportunities that's provided through OU is something called Handshake. It's a job search and networking platform for students, alumni, and employees. Can you talk about what Handshake is and how it provides a direct benefit to students from Oakland University in comparison to some other universities at the state level and across the country?
Absolutely. So Handshake is our online recruitment platform that helps connect students to jobs and students to employers. And so Handshake is a portal where students can upload their resumes. Companies actually post their jobs in Handshake, whether they're internships, co-ops, jobs, part-time opportunities. But it's a way to connect college talent to future opportunities. And so one of the benefits for students is that right now we have seen a huge uptick in the college market, very, very strong market right now. And it's going to be important for students not only to stay active, but to be polished. So upload a polished resume, update their Handshake profile to make sure that it reflects all of the skills, transferable skills, and the talents that they've received, whether it's an on-campus employment job, or whether it's an internship or working out in industry with an employer.
We're joined by Wayne Thibodeau, the Senior Director of Career Services at Oakland University, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Your team's also spent a lot of time recently researching particularly salaries that graduates can expect after they are done with their undergraduate education or graduate education at Oakland University. What was the goal of this research?
So the goal of the research is to really help educate our student population, prospective parents, and to really help aid students in making career decisions that are good choices for them long term.
What were some of the results that you found from this research that may have been surprising to you, or even to students or their parents that may be looking at this research after it's released by the university?
So I think the greatest, story that this is telling us is that we are in a hot job market, but students have choices. And so to help students with those choices, Career Services works one-on-one to prepare students for those decision-making skills, but also to help students navigate the job search process. And that's going to be important on this website for prospective parents and students to see not only the top employers, Also to look at top salaries that students can make in different industry sectors, but also help understand what the value of an internship, what is the value and the return on investment of a college degree. And so we are very proud of not only our current students, but our alumni making great impacts in the region and in southeastern Michigan.
I understand there was also a pretty interesting statistic that was found in this research, particularly about salaries for engineering graduates.
Yes. So what we found is we are averaging over $73,000 a year with our engineering students, particular, whether it's industrial systems engineering, we've got electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. We are finding certainly our School of Engineering, Computer Science graduates, and many of our students here from Oakland University have lots of offers that they have to choose from, which is a great opportunity in the industry. But I think it's being smart. And so helping students navigate that process with our team here in Career Services or mentors here on campus is going to really benefit them long term, so that they're not just looking at the end goal of a salary and what they are earning, but looking at it holistically of what is the decision for the student that's going to be best for them. So looking at the types of industry sectors that they're falling in, what types of products they're producing, what is the career growth for an employer and a sector that they're working for, as well as navigating the salary and making sure they can look at what's the best fit for them in their future.
Wayne Thibodeau joins us on the Oakland County Megacast, the Senior Director of Career Services at Oakland University, with us on the program. And you mentioned long-term viability of these careers and helping with the long-term impact on the career path of these graduates and those that are postgraduate as well from Oakland University. How long does that support continue on for these students after they graduate from the university in their job search? Because that first job isn't for everybody the last job that they'll have. And sometimes they'll come into another situation. Maybe the pandemic had an impact on that, and they graduated last year or the year before that, and they've lost their job, or they've had to switch jobs, or they switch careers. How long do these supports go on and are able to be used as a tool for Oakland alumni, not only just them, but also the graduates as well?
Great question. So here at Oakland University, our career services team offers not only support for current students, but lifelong support for all of our alumni as well. So as you mentioned, whether an alumni is looking to change careers, maybe they're looking to change industry sectors, and now is a great time to actually be doing that as we are in a hot job market. But we offer support for getting the alumni back and ready for the market, but also, polish up, whether it's just a resume, whether it's polishing up the interview skills, but also social media, making sure their LinkedIn profile is up to date. And also look at strategies of what's best fit for them, thinking big picture of not only, again, salary expectations, but lifelong success. And there's many decisions that go into that. But we are here for lifelong support for our alumni as well.
Where does Oakland University stand in comparison to other universities and colleges in Michigan in terms of the timetable between graduating and landing that first job for graduates?
So I would say on average, it is within, especially in this market, 3 to 6 months. But what we do is survey all of our fresh graduates 9 months out of college. And so we do a first destination survey report, which really gives us a good sample of where the first destination of not only where students at Oakland University are employed, but we also look at where they are moving on to graduate level school. But I would say the average would be 6 months currently for that job lead.
We're joined by Wayne Thibodeau. He is the Senior Director of Career Services at Oakland University, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. And then in terms of those graduates who do land those jobs, what percentage of them end up staying right here in Michigan?
So we are proud of our Oakland students that over 95% of our Oakland University graduates are living, working, and playing here in the state of Michigan. And so we also find that many of our graduates, even though it's up to 6 months, many of them are landing positions and offers before they graduate. And I will say it's because of the work ethic of our students. Many of our students are graduating with 2 or 3 internships, and so they are very competitive. They're very marketable to compete in the industry.
We're joined by Wayne Thibodeau, Senior Director of Career Services at Oakland University, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. More information from the Career Services Department and across the university at oakland.edu. That's oakland.edu. And so in terms of this current job market, it's an interesting situation because there are a lot of jobs that are open. There are a lot of industries that are looking to fill positions. How does that impact the Career Services Department's communication with recent graduates in particular, but also those alumni that are looking to fill some of these jobs and what they do for their search, certainly the salary discussions and other key factors that could be the difference between them getting that job or maybe not getting that great job that they're looking for and having to continue their search?
Absolutely. So what we saw during the pandemic is all of the industries moved to virtual recruitment. And so that was a transition not only for all of us in the workplace, but also for students and college students. And so making that transition to use virtual technology, virtual search mechanisms to help students find internships and jobs has certainly been transformative for students. And so what we're finding right now is even though the job market is very solid and very good and strong currently, what students need to make that transition is to look at the hybrid option for recruitment now. So when students are, preparing for the online job search process and returning back to campus, all of our employers are excited to be back in person and find that personal touch back with our candidates. And so it's going to be critical that students work with career services, not only for that preparation, but the job search, as well as selling themselves using social media and platforms like LinkedIn that are going to be preparing them for the future.
We're joined by Wayne Thibodeau, Senior Director of Career Services at Oakland University. Keep up to date with the Career Services Department and tap into some of these resources. If you are a graduate or an alumni of Oakland University and are looking for a job by visiting them at oakland.edu. That's oakland.edu. And in this job market, because there's so many openings, because so many businesses and so many sectors of industry are looking to fill these jobs, it's interesting because it gives a lot of power in that case, in that dynamic, to those that are seeking the jobs. What interview tips and what other tips across the job search does your department currently give to graduates and alumni who are looking to fill these jobs, knowing that they have a little bit more leverage in obtaining that best job that they're looking for, but also at the same time wanting to make sure that they aren't alienating anybody along the way as they're looking for these jobs? These are going to be their colleagues in that industry.
Absolutely. First and foremost, they have to make a great first impression. So whether that's a polished resume, they have to be ready for that market. And so making those resumes customizable for different industry sectors is certainly going to be the first step to open the door for an interview. Secondly, it's making that transition from all of our entire virtual world that we've all lived and being able to be flexible to move into a hybrid model, whether an interview is going to be virtual like we're talking today or back in person. And so students need to be prepared to have that personal connection to the interviewer, be able to be prepared to speak highly about the successes and the transferable skills that they learn in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. So one of the things we're proud of at Oakland University is the applied learning that happens inside the classroom, in team environments, as well as out of the classroom. So it's going to be critical for students to be able to talk about that applied, not only research they're doing in the classroom, but also the hands-on experience and what they can do to demonstrate the impact that they're making in and outside of the classroom. The other, I would say, tip is making sure that they have their social connections up to date. So whether it's Handshake profile, their LinkedIn profile, they need to be up to date, ready to hit the ground running to make sure that they're competing in today's market.
We're joined by Wayne Thibodeau. He is the Director of Career Services at Oakland University. More information on the Oakland University website, oakland.edu. That's oakland.edu to keep up to date on the Career Services Department and everything else going on at Oakland University. Wayne, just another couple of minutes before we let you go. In the case of those who may be struggling in some cases in their job search, maybe they've hit a dead end or they've gone on several interviews and they haven't been able to get that job that they're looking for and they've come so close, or they're just confused on where to even start especially if they're looking to change careers. what sort of resources are available for them? What should be those first steps they should take through their university to help them kick that job search into high gear and put their best foot forward?
So first and foremost, with our team here in Career Services, we want to be listeners. We realize the past 2 years of this pandemic has been stressful for all of us. And so we are going to be great listeners to understand the students' need and understand where they are in their transition as a college student. Secondly, we need to be able to help them make that leap and help them move from this whole entire virtual world we've all been living and be proactive, be very active out in the job search medians and make sure that they're prepared and they can articulate not only what they're aspiring to do, but also what their career aspirations are. And so being there for students, I think, is first and foremost so that they understand they're not in this job market alone. This is a journey. And so there's many steps that have to take place in order for there to be a successful landing of an opportunity out in industry. But also we're going to do practicing. We're going to practice interviews. We're going to practice questions and make sure putting them in simulation so that they understand how to react, how to respond, and how to most importantly articulate the skills that they've learned in the classroom, the skills that they're learning in and outside as an intern, whether they work on campus or work off campus. And most importantly, how are they going to impact the industry? How are they going to impact that employer and the value that they bring to the community? And so our value is really helping students be successful, whether it's moving on to a graduate level school or moving on to do a job search and being most productive.
Wayne, before we let you go, any lasting advice for graduates, for alumni, or for others in their job search as they are completing their education at Oakland University or continuing their careers after their graduation?
So capitalizing on resources on campus early and often. I can tell you again, even in a hot job market, you still need to be active with our office and career services to help be most successful. Don't do it alone, as well as we're here for a catalyst for the industry. And so we provide many events from career fairs to networking events to social experiences to make sure that they have connections to alumni of Oakland University, future prospects for job opportunities, certainly industry, as well as help making decisions about their career aspirations. So we look forward to working with them.
Wayne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
More information always available for graduates, alumni, and current students at Oakland University, and some other general advice as well at oakland.edu. We're going to take a break here on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll rejoin the program on your radio homes for the program 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills with MyTV President Dave Scott, who's out at a Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association event. We'll come back. He has a special surprise for us and maybe even an interview. On the other side, this is the Megacast.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes. They stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Achoo! People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior.
These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance.
They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different.
One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games?
Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
a rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you. Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation. Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, How your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners, working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
Welcome to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. More information on the entire program is on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll learn about all of our partnering stations, including My Michigan TV. And right now, we're joined by the president of My Michigan TV, Dave Scott, out in an event with the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Tyler, you know, I'm having a great time, and I'm here at the Troy Marriott. You can see behind me. You know, one of these days, though, I got to really... You can grab those. I'm sorry about that. One of these days, I got to get rid of these dorky radio headphones. So for television, this is awful. But
hey, they know you're on the air.
I'm sorry?
They at least know you're on the air. They see those.
Well, they
gotta
do.
Get some of the, like, 80s style ones that got the giant antenna on them, too, you know? Like your CBS.
Yeah, that would even be worse.
Yeah.
But, hey, good to be with you. I'm in Troy today at the Troy Marriott for Industry Insights, put on by the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association. And it's really an interesting time for these guys. And Tyler, this event is really not all that much different than a lot of other associations. They get together with all the people that they serve, and they talk about issues that are important, be it labor, legislative, marketing, new ideas, whatever. And there's a lot of exhibitors. You can see some of the exhibitor displays as I'm in the exhibitor area right now. And, but, you know, it's a really interesting time for the MRLA, the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association. As you well know, you've had them on your show so often. And, you know, they went through a really tough time with COVID. Most of their establishments are shut down for a protracted period of time. They're back open, but now we're in this kind of, hey, are we good? Are we not good? What's going on? What about employees? Are people comfortable? Masks, no masks? And is the government going to stay out of everyone's way? So all these issues are brewing, and certainly a lot of opportunity to talk about some of them. And we're going to, before the day is over, have an opportunity to talk to some of the people that are here and get their feedback.
Yeah, it'll be a fun event over there to learn more about where the industry is, because like you said, the situation with COVID-19 shut most of the industry down or really fundamentally changed the way that it operates. And now that they're able to operate normally again, and with some of the lessons learned from the pandemic incorporated into what that normal operation is, now they're in another situation where the uncertainty of the pandemic is still kind of looming over, that dark cloud over their shoulder, but also filling those roles and their staffing in particular. The last couple times we've had John McNamara, the Vice President of Government Affairs, on the program. That's been a big talking point for them. So how much of an impact from what you can see at this conference and what you've seen so far is on attracting people to the industry?
Well, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal, and that's represented with the vendors that are here. And it's also a major topic of conversation. And maybe we can find John, or today is actually a really good day to talk to more of the people on the front line, because a number of the restaurateurs from the state of Michigan are here, and just to talk about their challenges, and they're varied. We've all seen it. A lot of establishments have had to limit their hours. Certainly with the tourism economy coming back and a lot of our summer destinations coming back online, they're challenged trying to find all the employees that they need for restaurants and taverns and for lodging and hotels. So if it's not the number one issue, it's certainly number one, number two, or number three on everyone's mind here today.
And how much of a focus, too, and as we talk about priorities, is on this summer and the upcoming fall, too, being a momentum push for the future, because now things are back open. People are going to be traveling this summer. Recently, you did My did an event with Travel Michigan and did the governor's conference on tourism in Acme, Michigan. And so we know the travel industry is going to be back. We know people are going to be traveling to Michigan. And so for the restaurants, I'd imagine it's exciting because you're going to get a lot of business, but also can be a little bit scary because business might be a little bit less fast-paced than it's been in the past because of those staffing issues.
Well, on the tourism side, you're right. It is a huge issue. And that's why the folks from Travel Michigan, who we did hear from a week or so ago in Traverse City at the Governor's Conference on Tourism, that we covered exclusively wall to wall here in My, they're back here talking to the restaurateurs. And Tyler, I spent a lot of time all over the state. And I spent a lot of time with people in the tourism industry, and they're telling me from some of the destinations that they had the record year of the century last year. Places in northern Michigan, in particular, in the UP, Mackinac Island, the UP, Traverse City, the golden west coast of Lake Michigan. A lot of these destinations saw more people last year than they have in decades, and in large part because air travel was so difficult and there was a big pent-up demand. Well, now the economy is a little bit different. That's got some people concerned, and travel has opened up a little bit, so we'll have to see how it goes. This year, for the most part, what we're hearing is that the key summer destinations are very bullish on what their summer is going to look like, but there is some concern over the economy, inflation, and the thing that has everyone concerned, gas prices.
Yeah, that's also going to play a factor, not just in travel for seasonal employees and for regular employees getting to and from work, but also for a lot of those resources that come in, both the food resources that they use to cook, the food that they're serving at these restaurants, but also other additional resources like cleaning supplies, other supplies as well that are shipped in, and that also has an impact because of the shipping industry.
Well, I was just looking at the agenda for today, and you bring up a very good point. As I would not be surprised to hear that you're right in your game, one of the big sessions today is inventory, your knowledge and tips and other things for folks that are having a challenge getting all of the inventory. I mean, the supply chain is still disrupted. That's impacting every industry, and it's impacting the restaurant industry. But Tyler, I will wrap up on this subject by telling you that the people here are very happy. They're happy to be together holding this conference in the first place. They're happy that they're open again, and for the most part, the industry is happy and they're bullish. I have one other thing I want to mention to you before we go today, but overall here, there is a really good vibe, and we'll have a chance to talk to some people here and report back during some of the other programs today.
Well, you can tune into those programs, mymytv.com. We'll also learn more about downloading the free MyMyTV apps for your smartphone and your smart TV as well, so you can take MyMy home with you and on the road. Dave, thank you so much.
No problem. Can I get one final shameless plug in?
Go for it.
Okay, so I was in Traverse City over the weekend, and we talked about another related industry, the beer industry here in the state of Michigan. The Michigan Brewers Guild held an event in Traverse City over the weekend. There were just under 100 local brewers all there. Of course, people sampling their product, and it was a lot of fun. I was there. We put together an hour show, and it's going to be online. It already is at mymytv.com, and it'll be airing throughout our schedule. So for those of you that are watching over on that side, we certainly invite you to tune in.
Dave, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
More coverage across the state on mymytv.com, mymytv.com, or search My Michigan TV in your favorite app store to download the MyMyTV app for your smartphone and smart TV. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll explore how one national organization's Michigan chapter is helping battle food insecurity and homelessness in our backyard. That's up next on the Michigan Megacast.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Joining us now is the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan, a nonprofit focusing on creating equitable communities and addressing the issue of poverty in our communities as well. Ryan Hertz joins us now on the Megacast. Ryan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, as we get into this conversation, for those that aren't familiar with Lighthouse, what are some of the services that you provide in the community to help address the issues of equitable housing, but also poverty?
Sure thing. So Lighthouse is actually the result of a merger between two longstanding social service organizations in Oakland County, one called Lighthouse of Oakland County, the other called South Oakland Shelter. Both were founded to respond to emergency needs. Lighthouse originally to respond to hunger, and South Oakland Shelter to homelessness. And over several decades, both organizations developed a continuum of services ranging from emergency response, like emergency food and shelter, utility assistance, eviction prevention, all the way to affordable housing development, supportive housing, financial coaching, and other stability-focused services. So we really try to address the spectrum of need, both from the individual level as well as the community and systems level, to reduce economic disparities and help families who are really struggling in our community.
We're joined by Ryan Hertz, the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on the website, lighthousemi.org. That's lighthousemi.org. Ryan, Lighthouse is now teaming up with Amazon to deliver meals also to families in Oakland County that may be in need of food assistance or maybe in need of meal delivery. Can you tell us about how that partnership began and the extent of that partnership also?
Sure. So we actually work with Amazon in a variety of ways. Amazon's been a really big part of our Adopt a Family program around the holidays, and has done all kinds of initiatives to support our mission in recent years. In this particular situation, during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, we found that there were a number of people that we were serving who were vulnerable, who we really wanted to be getting food to without them having to go out to shop, without them having to go around to different food pantries, many with very high-risk situations. And so we started a program to connect volunteers to opportunities to home deliver our emergency food boxes. And we've done that for over 2 years now, serving thousands of families in Oakland County. Actually, I believe since the beginning of the pandemic, we've served around 60,000 households with our emergency food boxes throughout our community, right around 30,000 a year. And, Amazon has connected with us in so many ways, and we approached them about using some of their delivery drivers to help us get more food out to more folks. And they've been doing that, and it's been just a beautiful partnership, and we're really grateful.
So what's the response been so far from those that you serve through Lighthouse of Michigan to the delivery of these meal boxes with Amazon?
We actually have a partnership with a professor at Oakland University who conducted a survey of all the folks who receive our our food assistance, both in terms of delivery and also through directly at our pantries and through some of our partner pantries who we provide these boxes to for distribution. And the delivery service is obviously hugely convenient for families that both because of the current conditions around the pandemic and some of our families being high risk, also because many of the families that we serve lack access to affordable transportation options to go and access food, or maybe they live in an area that's not close by to any pantries. So we've had a lot of really positive feedback from the people that we serve around the service. The challenge is just simply that it's very difficult to scale the service, right? It's an expensive thing to do if not totally volunteer driven. And we've been really blessed that our volunteer community has really stepped up around this. And we're trying to explore ways to scale this more and make it more sustainable. And our partnership with Amazon has been a big part of that.
So recently, the Attorney General of Michigan, Dan Nessel's office, had a chance to tour your warehouse, Lighthouse Warehouse, being particularly in her office's determination to bring more attention to lawmakers in our state about the efforts that are being undertaken by nonprofits across the state of Michigan. Can you talk about that tour, what you have in the warehouse, and how that warehouse helps you to provide services to people all throughout Michigan with Lighthouse of Michigan?
Sure thing. So the Attorney General actually visited 2 of our service sites. We have quite a range of different programs at different locations. She came and visited our new family emergency shelter, which I can also speak to later, and then spent some time at our primary food distribution warehouse hub. And that site essentially is the result of our ramping up of food distribution work early on in the pandemic, initially partnered with Oakland University and a variety of other partners to distribute food out of Oakland University Student Center. And then when school came back in session in the fall of 2020, we moved to a warehouse space. It's a vacant big box store at Summer Place Mall that is about 40,000 square feet of open, high bay warehouse space. And we utilize that space to bring food in much larger quantities than we'd be able to do out of our headquarters building, which was our primary pantry previous to this. We're able to accept much larger amounts of food donations. We're able to bring in much larger groups of volunteers to sort through those donations in a safe and distanced environment. And we're able to stage the distribution of those sorted food boxes that we hope will provide a family with everything they need nutritionally, so that they don't have to go around to many different locations and try to piece things together. So it's been a wonderful program, and we're really grateful that the Attorney General came out to learn more about what we're doing on a variety of fronts. We hope to be able to continue to keep this work going.
I understand too, I have in my notes from our producer, the King of Television, Larry Nyland, that you also had mattresses in some of those warehouses that were given to Ukrainian refugees. Have you been able to get those mattresses to these refugees, and if so, how helpful has it been to them in getting acclimated to Michigan in their refugee status, while of course we have the conflict going on, the war over in Ukraine?
Sure. So we double up use of that space. The primary use of that space, as I mentioned, is our emergency food distribution, but we double up use of that space because we have quite a bit of additional warehouse space co-located there for a variety of things. I'd say probably the second largest, in addition to food, would be furniture. Both for Ukrainian refugees, which is really through partnership. Others that were focused exclusively on the resettlement of Ukrainian refugees reached out to us. One of our primary values at Lighthouse is collaboration and making sure that whatever assets we have are put to the best and highest use of the community as necessary. So when partners reached out to us about that opportunity, we said, certainly not only are we willing to warehouse mattresses, but we're willing to access our partnership with Gardner White Furniture and other sources of furniture to help source it. We also have a pet food pantry located out of that location for lower income families who have pets that have a hard time at moments affording to feed their pets or have access to other supplies, and that's in partnership with the Humane Society. So we utilize that space with a variety of partners, and that's just one of them. And of course, in this moment, that's an extremely meaningful opportunity for us to support a need.
We're joined by Ryan Hertz, the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan. More information on their website, lighthousemi.org. That's lighthousemi.org. And earlier on in the year, Ryan, Lighthouse received a significant food donation from the Mormon Church in Utah. Can you talk about how big of an impact that donation, being that it was a significant donation of food, has had on those that you serve here in Michigan?
Yeah, it was a massive donation. It was wonderful. It was unexpected. It was exactly the sort of thing that needs to happen for us to continue to meet the expanding need. Early on in the pandemic, when we started to expand, we used to serve, 300 to 500 households a week out of a pantry focused in the Pontiac area and a pantry in Clarkston focused on northern Oakland County. Throughout the pandemic, we've served right around 5,000 per week. And to get there, we ramped up a really big emergency response campaign early in the pandemic. We raised over $3 million, both for our emergency food expansion work, as well as to quadruple the capacity of our emergency shelter and relocate it to a motel. And we have spent through those resources. Those resources did carry us through quite a long time, and we were able to help far more people than we've ever been able to assist in the past. And we're now in a position where we're going day by day trying to bring the resources together. And when that truck came, it was, couldn't have been better timed in terms of allowing us to be able to continue to meet that need.
Ryan, if people in Michigan would like to help your organization at this time, what are some different ways that they can through either donations, and if so, what do you need in terms of those donations, but also volunteer opportunities with Lighthouse of Michigan?
Sure. So, of course, we need donations. We ask folks if they do want to support specific areas of our work to still do so financially, while we do appreciate in-kind donations of food and other things because of the amount that we're able to access at a lower price if we purchase it in bulk. It's better for us to purchase the food directly through our partner at Gleaners, through other partners, wholesale. Your money goes further that way than if you go and purchase and then contribute food. That said, we of course accept in-kind donations. We always are in need of volunteers. If you visit our website, lighthousemi.org, there's a volunteer sign-up system that will clarify what the volunteer opportunities are on the horizon and allow you to sign up and find out more information. And we also have upcoming fundraising events that folks are very welcome to join us. We have our rent party event in Detroit at the old Stanley Kresge Mansion in East Boston, Edison, Arden Park neighborhood. We haven't had this event for a few years in person due to the pandemic, and this year we'll be having it in person, mostly outdoors, trying to accommodate everybody's needs in this complicated time. And so we would encourage folks to join us. You can visit therentparty.org to find out more. It's a big jazz concert and party outside in the neighborhood. So please feel free to join.
We're joined by Ryan Hertz. He is the president and CEO of Lighthouse of Michigan, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on their website, lighthousemi.org. That's lighthousemi.org. And earlier, Ryan, you mentioned the family emergency shelter that your organization has as well. Can you tell us about that, and if people are in need of shelter in our communities, how they can get access to either the family emergency shelter or other shelter-related services provided by Lighthouse?
Sure. So we have a very limited number of emergency shelter beds for folks who are displaced from their homes in Oakland County. And at the beginning of the pandemic, the number of people calling us for assistance dramatically increased. And we realized that over the years, options for families had greatly diminished in Oakland County. We do have a domestic violence shelter, our partners at Haven, and we're grateful for that. But for families that are homeless, that don't necessarily qualify for those services, the only emergency shelter located in Oakland County that accepted families was the South Oakland Shelter, which was the shelter program that merged into Lighthouse. And that program serves both families and individuals based on first come, first serve. So for mid to large size families, the odds of having enough openings at any given time when a family calls are fairly small. And so what we realized during the pandemic, as the need dramatically increased and as we partnered with Oakland schools and others and realized just how many people were going without their needs being met in that population, we decided to convert one of our transitional housing buildings from a longer-term transitional housing program into a emergency shelter program. So we now have 18 apartment units specifically dedicated to emergency shelter for families. We also took that transitional housing program and we made it a transition in place program. So it still exists, it's just no longer at that site. Now we work with families in their own apartment as opposed to within our building in the community with the private landlord in the community where they want to live. And at the end of the 2-year transitional housing program, they can take over the lease and transition in place. So they don't have to move out at the end of the program. So it's really been a mutually beneficial thing for both of those programs. And we're just grateful to be able to meet that need in the community at this time.
Ryan, before we let you go, anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to keep in mind regarding your organization or other ways that they can help Lighthouse Michigan at this time?
Certainly. So, in early 2020, when the pandemic hit all of us, there was a response that I never could have imagined from our community. A recognition as everybody was struggling that there are folks who are struggling more than others. There are folks that everyone is struggling, and yet there are people in our community who have less resources to navigate this tough time. And I think that as we have moved through this challenging period over the last couple of years, I think some folks have perhaps lost sight of the reality of how the past 2 years have impacted low to mid-income families in our community. And I would just ask folks to remember that that impact is still with us, and to reach back out and re-engage with organizations like ours. We have so many folks who are so generous with their time and treasure and talent, and yet we have so much unmet need, and we really need everyone in this community, if we have a hope of achieving our mission, to be a part of that.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes, they stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, Let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast. You'll also learn more about all of our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Just yesterday, I won an NBA playoff game. Today, after work and running some errands, maybe I'll win a baseball game or another sporting event as well. Many are doing this every day on their gaming devices, and some have earned a college scholarship and maybe even made careers out of playing their favorite video games. Carl Leone joins us now on the Megacast. He is the head coach of the Oakland University Esports team. Carl, thank you for being with us again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So for those that aren't familiar with the Esports program at Oakland University, tell us about the program, when it started, and where it's at right now.
Yep, so I started the program at Oakland University, got hired in March 2020. So it was our first competitive year in the fall of 2020. Competitive esports teams on the collegiate level compete under athletics for the most part. For Oakland University, we're under athletics, and we compete against other teams across North America. There's about 400 or 500 teams in North America with varsity teams who take it very seriously, most of them offering scholarships to players. Our team does as well. So just for reference, Oakland University has amazing athletic support. Oakland University esports team has the same kind of support. So we're talking scholarships and sports psychologists and medically trained staff, physical training, nutritionists, the works. And so we're very blessed in this situation to be able to move the bar forward for college esports.
So when we first talked to you, there were there's only I think one, maybe two games that specifically that your program was competing in. Where is that at now? Have you expanded that program to more games and more opportunities then for esports athletes to join the program?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've added to 4 games now. We have Overwatch, League of Legends, Rocket League, Smash Brothers Ultimate. We've also doubled the size of the team. So last year in 2020, we had 14 students the very first year. We've doubled up to 28. And I've got plans to continue to increase that year over year. And at some point, we're going to have to stagnate that.
So as the head coach, coaching several different games, how do you manage that? Are you relatively averse at each one of these games? Do you have assistant coaches that are a little bit more familiar with each of those? How do you go about coaching these players in these specific games that maybe they have a lot more expertise in than maybe you do?
Right. It's an interesting scenario where we're right in the infancy stage, right? This didn't exist 7 years ago. And so when you have a coach like myself, who maybe I specialize really well in a game called League of Legends, that's one of our games. I used to be a collegiate athlete in that game. So I can certainly coach those players. But when we're talking about our players being in the top 1% of players in North America, it's not exactly realistic to expect one person to be able to coach in League of Legends and Overwatch and Smash Brothers and Rocket League. It'd almost be like asking a collegiate coach to coach football and soccer and tennis. It's wildly different games. And so we work off of a system with assistant coaches, like you had mentioned, who specialize in each of the games on a volunteer basis to be able to help our teams and really support them to be successful.
And talk about your background, how you got into esports, and then how you got into coaching esports. Because you mentioned that you were an esports athlete when you were in college. How did you get into esports as an athlete, and then transition into coaching after you graduated?
Yeah, I'd been playing League of Legends for about, I have now for about 9 years, but at the time, maybe 6 years, I'd been playing League of Legends when I'd come out of high school. And I got recruited to Robert Morris University. Actually got, I think I saw an ad on Facebook that they were offering scholarships. They were the first school to offer scholarships in the U.S. for gamers. So that was huge news. I went ahead and applied, got the position there. During the 4 years that I was at Robert Morris University, we were top 4 in North America all 4 years, and 2 of the years we were actually second place. We got runner-up in the national or international finals. So very successful team. I'm very proud of that background that I come from. After I graduated, I volunteered as a coach for Aquinas College, which is on the west side of Michigan. And after a year of doing that, I am lucky enough to be able to fill the position here at Oakland. When they knew they wanted to start a program and they didn't know who was going to lead it, I got through the interview process, and I've been here ever since.
We're joined by Carl Leone, the esports coach at Oakland University, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on Oakland University's esports program and all their other athletics at oakland.edu. That is oakland.edu. And recently, the university played host to high school esports championships. Can you talk about the tournament? And are some of the competitors at that tournament, are they future Golden Grizzlies esports athletes?
I love that specific end of the question. Yeah, so we partnered with Michigan High School Esports League to host the state finals for their esports. We held the finals for League of Legends, Rocket League, and Smash Brothers. The winners on Saturday, spoiler alert, was Bloomfield Hills, Byron Center, and also Bloomfield Hills, because we're competing in multiple games.
Okay.
So it was a fantastic event. We're just so happy to be able to support high school esports and put on an amazing event. We had about 100 spectators there, so that was just fantastic. To your point, are there any future Golden Grizzlies, maybe gamers out there? I actually had a few conversations with players that I was interested in recruiting who were interested in Oakland and weren't quite sure. So I expect 1 or 2 of the individuals from the event to be coming onto our roster next fall.
And so when you're recruiting an esports athlete, what's the process like, similar to recruiting for other sports at the university level? Are there scholarships available, and what range of scholarship opportunities might be available for esports athletes?
Yeah, there are scholarships available, to those players who are in the top ranking. And if you're a gamer, you know the ranking system really well. If you're within that top 1% of all players in North America, you'll definitely be able to secure a scholarship at a college. It's just getting in contact with the coach. The scholarships range, huge range. There are some schools out there, maybe a handful, that give full ride scholarships for esports. That's been around for about 2 years now, and it's been expanding. But I would say the average scholarship for esports athlete is somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 per year. So a substantial amount of money, especially at a more affordable school rather than like a private school.
We're joined by Carl Leone. He is the head coach of the esports team at Oakland University, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. So how was the performance of your team this year? Where in the national ranks and among the other universities in the state that may also have esports teams does Oakland University fare?
I'm glad you asked. So I'll touch specifically on a Rocket League team because they, have been our most successful team this year. Our Rocket League team qualified for CRL, which is Collegiate Rocket League, essentially the top 32 teams in North America. This is the first time that our team has ever qualified for this, so it's huge news. We went on to make the playoffs for CRL, and then now we've qualified for the World Championships. What that essentially means is that we're top 10 in North America and top 16 in the world in college Rocket League. So we'll be flying out to Texas in early June to compete in the World Championship. So our Rocket League team has just been incredible and playing out of their minds recently. So I'm just so excited to talk about them.
And can you talk also, Carl, about the uniqueness of having a team that is co-ed in college sports? Because even in sports that could be co-ed, it's usually divided into men's sport and then a women's sport. And in esports at Oakland University, that is an entirely co-ed team.
Right. This is actually the only co-ed team at Oakland University. So, for me, I think esports is inclusive in a lot of ways where there isn't any kind of physical barrier between one player to the next. There's some reaction time or what have you. But, in traditional sports, that might be the reason why there's a separation between male-female leagues. That's just not relevant in esports. So we can have a co-ed team and it really doesn't matter. We have women players on our teams, and they compete at a really high level. They're within the top 4% of all players in North America, and they're serving our team so well. I've really enjoyed the diversity within the team, and I feel that it brings a better team cohesion at the end of the day, a little bit more camaraderie.
We're joined by Carl Leone. He is the head coach of the Oakland University esports team, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on the team and all other athletics at Oakland University by visiting their website, oakland.edu. That's oakland.edu. And I also understand from my notes here that two of the women that are on your team are among some of the best esports players in the entire country. Can you talk about them and where some of your individual players rank among the best of the best in the entire country in esports?
Yeah, so we have two women on the Overwatch team and one on the League of Legends team. All three of these players are within the top 4% of all players in North America. Now that includes the professional players. So if you're familiar with gaming, there's no separation between collegiate, amateur, and pro when you talk about this ranking system. So to be in the top 4% of millions of players is incredible. So yeah, I'm really happy to have them join and happy that we were able to find them and have them join the team.
So if there are esports athletes at the high school level or even just video gaming enthusiasts that maybe aren't on a team but are looking for opportunities like this at Oakland University or other institutions, what should they be doing in order to get in contact with the recruiters or to get the attention of recruiters at the university level for potential scholarship opportunities to be on this university athletics team?
It's a great question. If your goal is to get onto a collegiate esports team, the most important thing to check is what game title you're talking about. Because it's almost like saying, hey, are you interested in sports? Can you get a scholarship? It's like, well, let's make sure you're playing the right ones that actually offer scholarships. So right off the top of my head, League of Legends, Rocket League, Smash Brothers, Valorant, Overwatch are probably the top contenders. So if you play any of those games or maybe similar games, you might want to think about transferring into those games and sharpening up those skills. Those are the most popular ones at the collegiate level. So if you're looking to get a scholarship, that would be the best way. And then once you're in a high ranking, like I said, let's say top 5% ranked nationally in those games, then I would go ahead and start reaching out to college coaches. There's magnificent websites that summarize all of the programs in the country. The best one that I've seen is lfgroup.gg. That one's fantastic. You can search by state, by scholarship amount, by varsity program, what games they have. So that'd be the best way to get the good information. And then just reach out to the coach. The collegiate esports has been growing, doubling year over year, the amount of programs. So I'm telling you, coaches out there cannot find enough players. There's a disconnect in the communication line. So there's coaches who desperately want players. So it's all about just getting in the right hands and talking to the right person.
We're joined by Carl Leone. He is the head coach of Oakland University Esports with us on the Michigan Megacast. Carl, before we let you go, where do you see the future of esports going, particularly at the college level, in the next 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years even? Where do you see the expansion of esports going, as it's already had such a boom in just a few years, really, of existence?
Yeah, I see 5 to 10 years. I'll tackle that window because it's much easier, a little bit more conservative to go that route, right? So I would say 5 to 10 years, what you'll see is across collegiate, under certain programs, you're going to see it become its own mini athletic program, which is almost the way it operates right now. That's really what I consider my position, more or less, than just specifically coaching games, is I'm running an athletic program just for esports. So what I would say is you're going to see programs with 60 plus students in them across 6 or 7 different titles. And then you'll have a head coach who's part-time or full-time for each specific title. And that will set each team up for success. That's certainly not the norm right now, but I imagine that it will be within the 5 to 10 year period we're talking about.
Carl, thank you very much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
More information at oakland.edu. That's oakland.edu for information on the entire athletic department, including the esports team and their progress going forward. Oakland.edu. That is going to do it for this Monday edition of the Oakland County and Michigan Megacasts. You can keep up to date on the program, learn more about all of our partnering stations, and find each entire 2-hour-long episode and every individual interview from each program dating all the way back to March of 2020 on demand at civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link or simply typing in civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Scroll down the page, click on full episodes if you'd like to enjoy our full episode on your time at your leisure and in any succession you decide to do so, as well as each individual interview if you're looking for specific topics. For example, maybe esports really interests you, but other topics not so much from today's program or other programs. You can view individual topics and individual shows and individual interviews, all on demand. civiccentertv.com/Megacast, where we also link to each one of our partnering TV, radio, and web outlets, including My Michigan TV, so that you can learn more about all of their additional original programming beyond joining us on the Megacast network each and every day for the Oakland County Megacast and the Michigan Megacast as well. We also highly encourage you to keep up to date on the latest news making headlines across the state of Michigan on the COVID-19 front and beyond at civiccentertv.com's local news tab. You click on local news or type in civiccentertv.com/local-news. And at the top of the page, we have links to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division's COVID-19 specific web pages, so you can get the most up-to-date information you need on everything you need to know about COVID-19, including the change in the spread of the virus in your local area, at the state level, at the federal level, at the worldwide level, more information on precautionary tactics you may need to employ at certain times, depending on how COVID-19 is spreading in your local area, as well as information on vaccinations and booster shots from these individual health department resources across the board, locally, statewide, and federally. You'll also, on that page, if you scroll down, find our articles that make headlines each and every day before our programs. We will post them on that page. We will clear them before the new week comes around, so you can stay up to date on what's making news this week across the Great Lakes state. civiccentertv.com/local-news for all of that information up to date each and every day. Big thank you to our crew that makes this program possible 5 days a week for 2 full hours each day. Calvin Brown, our technical director, with me in the studio for the full 2-hour marathon that is the Oakland County and the Michigan Megacasts. Jared Clark, our Zoom producer at the office of My Michigan TV in the bustling metropolis of Troy, Michigan, and the king of television himself, Larry Nyland, our producer, booking all the guests, helping both them and us get ready for informative conversations each and every day and helping us on and off the air 5 days a week. On My Michigan TV, Steve Lado Live is coming up next, followed by Larry and Ronnie Live. We'll be back tomorrow morning with a new edition of the Megacast.